What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my prize picks breakdown video for UFC Vegas 77. We have Holly Holm going against Mauro Bueno Silva.
I need all the wins, yeah. All that and all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back talking some prize picks this week for UFC Vegas 77. A card that's, pretty sketchy card, to be honest. A card where we have a lot of fighters making a return after a very long layoff. We have some UFC newcomers. Just a pretty weird card overall, but I was able to find some spots. I think I have 8 or 9 plays that kind of stick out. Typically, I'd like to look for maybe 10 or 11, but yeah, not a ton is sticking out this week. So we're going to get into it. Before we do so, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe here to the channel so you don't miss out on all the content throughout the week. And also, if you guys have not signed up on PrizePicks yet, use that promo code DFSBTN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. Do appreciate everybody signing up and using that code. Helps me out, helps you out. Free money there. All right. I say we get into it then, and we're going to start with the significant strikes. A couple stick out here. The first one that does stick out is going to be the Jung Young Park. I'm going to take the more on the significant strikes. It's set at 44.5. It's a fight where, Jung Young Park is, a very, very high volume fighter. So there was that fight a couple years ago where he went out there and landed, it had to be over like 300 strikes. And I remember DraftKings counted like none of them as significant. So that, I guess, is always a concern for Park. But even on the feet, this guy is throwing a lot of volume. And this is a fight where I do expect it to take place on the feet. It's a fight that's actually favored to go the distance. And this guy, Parks, he's landing about 5 significant strikes per minute. So if this fight is to go the distance, which I think it does, it's favored to, I think he gets that more on the 44.5 and pretty easily, to be honest. So give me Jung Young Park. Give me that more on the significant strikes. It is one of my favorite plays on the card this week, on a card where not a ton sticking out. And then we have Melsik Bagdasaryan. He's sitting at 53.5 significant strikes. I'm going to take the more here on that. Melsik is a very good striker, very high volume, especially early on. Like, this is a guy that kind of shoots out of a cannon. So I expect him to land a lot early. Once this fight does get extended, though, I do expect him to slow down a little bit, which is fine. But this guy's landing over 5.5 significant strikes per minute, a little bit over 5.5. So if this fight is to go the distance, which I think it's about a pick 'em to, but it is favored to go over 2.5. So this goes over 2.5 rounds. You got to imagine that Melsik does hit this more on the 53.5 significant strikes. So those were 2 that stuck out. Nothing really else sticking out because there's some weird ones here, like Sadikov, the fight could finish in like a minute. Prado, the fight could finish in like a minute. Holly Holm, there could be a lot of grappling, could be a lot of cage control. Madalena's fight could finish in a couple minutes. I mean, the Elder fight could finish in a couple minutes. So there's a lot of weird ones here, but those were 2 that kind of stuck out there. All right, let's move on to the fight time. And typically, a lot of things stick out in this fight time for me because I'm a big prop guy. I love the over-unders. But this week, only 2 really stick out. The first one is going to be the Francisco Prado, and this moved a little bit since, I wrote my notes last night. So it was at 6.5. It's now at 6, which I still think is fine. I think this fight does finish in the very first round, and if it does, this 6 minutes fight time is going to hit towards the less there. I'm going to stick with it. I think these guys are very dangerous. These guys have a lot of power. We saw Zaitar starch in his last fight. Prado blocks punches with his face. I think somebody's getting served here and served in the first 5 minutes. For what it's worth, Zaitar has not seen the second round, and it has to be like 5 years. I mean, ever since this guy's made his UFC debut, he has not seen the second round, and he made his debut a while ago at this point, it seems. So I think this fight finishes in the first round there. And then give me the Evan Elder, another one that moved on me a little bit, but it moved on me just a little bit here. So it's now at 9.75 minutes fight time. And yeah, I think this fight does finish probably before the third round. Evan Elder is a guy that is dangerous. Both guys super dangerous, Valdez and Elder. Both guys have their struggles defensively, especially Valdez. And the thing with Valdez is, he's tough, but he gets hurt not only like once, not only like twice, but like several occasions in every fight. Like even in the Natan Levy fight that went the distance last time, which by the way, That was the first time Valdez did go the distance. He got hurt on 3 different occasions in that Natan Levy fight. And Natan Levy's not dangerous at all. He finished as nobody. So I think Evan Elder hurts him here. I think he finishes him at some point. I think this is a war car crash. Give me the less on the 9.75 minutes fight time. And other than that, nothing really sticking out. I guess the Dudakova less is interesting. I would just like to give those extra 2.5 minutes, to be honest, because we've seen Nunez get finished late before. So I might be passing on that one. This one's interesting, less than 5 minutes for Sadikov. I think that's interesting. It's a Terrence McKinney fight. McKinney very rarely sees that second round, so I don't hate that. But that's about it for that. The park more on the fight time could be something to look at, plus 4.75. I don't hate that either. All right, we'll move on to the takedowns then. Yeah, the only thing sticking out here on this one, and it moved on me again, my goodness, I was going to get this video out yesterday, but just was not able to. So this was at 2.5 yesterday. It's at 3 now, which I don't even know if I like it now. Like, I see him getting at least 3. So I think at the very least it's going to push there. I'll still take the more because I think he can get at least 4 or 5 here. So give me Munoz to get that more there. He got, I think, 4 in the Pena fight. He got 4 on the Contender Series fight, and I think he's very well could get 4 here. But at the very least, I think he's getting 3 in this matchup. He's got to. He's a really good wrestler, and I think they can go out there and take down Deaton several times. So I think this one, although it moved a little bit, I still think it hits, and I think he gets at least 4 here in this one. Not touching the hole, because her game plan should be to not take down Silva, but she probably goes out there and takes down Silva. Don't like the Costa 1.5. Don't like the Perez 1.5. Don't like the Elder. Nothing really sticking out. Besides that Munoz. The Munoz one really jumped off the page to me, especially at 2.5. But even at 3, I don't think it's the worst look in the world. And then finally, we move on to fantasy score. Speaking of Alex Munoz, 75.5 fantasy score. Yeah, I like this guy to win first and foremost. He has taken a little bit of a layoff here. He's coming off of a major injury, major surgery, so that's a concern. But if we get the Alexander Munoz of old, expect 4, 5, 6 plus takedowns. Expect decent volume on the feet. Expect a decision win. I think if he does win this fight, all those takedowns, they are going to add up pretty quickly. So I like Munoz here, 75.5 fantasy score. I think that hits the more there. Give me Melsik Bogdasarian, and I'm going to take the less here on the 93.5 fantasy score. That's high there for a guy that I don't think he's finishing Tucker Lutz early. I don't think he's going out there and taking down Tucker Lutz. I think this fight does go to decision. I think it's competitive. And if this fight does go to decision and it's Melsik outstriking Lutz across 3 rounds, or I'm not even sure Melsik wins this fight, to be honest. If this fight does go the distance, though, I don't see how Melsik does pay off that fantasy score. That is a very steep fantasy score for a guy that I don't see having any grappling success, and then a guy that I don't really see him finishing the fight either. So going to take the less there on the Melsik side. And then finally, I'm going to take the Eileen Perez. I'm going to take the more here on her fantasy score. This just seems very low for a fighter in Eileen Perez, who I think is going to go out there and grapple. I think she is going to go out there and get takedowns. I think she will land some volume. And if it turns out Ashley Evans-Smith is just showing up here for a paycheck, which that's kind of what it seems like at this point, Eileen Perez should be able to go out there and not put up like a massive score, but go up there and put up, at least 72 points there. I mean, that's not terrible whatsoever. So I think the Eileen Perez, give me the more on that fantasy score. I think she goes out there and beats Ashley Evans-Smith. She's heavily favored to do so. At this point, she's like minus 230, which is kind of ridiculous. But if she has to win this fight, which I do think she does, I think she puts up at least 72 here. So I don't mind that as well. But yeah, I think that's about it. Let's see, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, only 8 plays really sticking out this week. Not a ton that I really love. Not a card that I really love, but I think it's going to be a good time as always. Some solid fights. No name value, but solid fights nonetheless. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys could like the video, I do appreciate that a ton. Subscribe to the channel. I also appreciate that a ton. And then be sure to check out PrizePicks. Use that promo code DFSBTN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. It really helps me out. It really helps you out. And yeah, highly recommend checking out some PrizePicks. Just another fun thing to do on a Saturday along with bets, DraftKings, FanDuel, all the good stuff. So best of luck, guys, for UFC Vegas 77. We'll talk to you soon. See you later.